She's freaking out. So let's see what happens. Failed. It failed. I don't know what's going on. Oh! They're moving! They're moving! Oh, it goes into drive again. For it, for it, for it. I know, guys, it's been nearly a month since we have given you an update on the CyberTruck. If you guys are new to the channel, this is our totaled CyberTruck. We were one of the first to pick one up in this condition. It got T-boned by a Ford Edge, and we have been trying to get this thing driving once again because it's had an issue with the steering. We've had several delays, and that's why it's been taking so long to give you guys an update on it. But Battery Boys is back. I'm your host, Kilowatt Kyle, and today we have a massive update on the CyberTruck. Hope you guys enjoy. What's up, guys? Today we are back working on our wrecked Tesla CyberTruck. As you guys saw in the last video, we kind of messed this thing up.
Oh, well.
Now we f***ed up. And it no longer moves or steers. It has been sitting in this spot for longer than we have expected. And hopefully in today's video, we will see this thing move once again, but there's no guarantee. If this doesn't work, then I might have no choice but to see if Tesla won't take this thing in, because it might be a little bit out of our realm of knowledge and expertise. I've had a ton of emails. A lot of people have reached out offering their help and assistance on the CyberTruck. A lot of, former Tesla employees or current Tesla employees that want to remain anonymous. I appreciate all of the help and insight you guys have gave us on this thing, and we're hoping that it will have something to do with the module that I just got picked up from a Tesla service center, and that's why we are starting on this thing today. So if you guys look right over here, I got this guy. This is the steering column control module right here for the CyberTruck. This guy's responsible for the steering wheel angle sensor. It controls all the functions on the steering wheel itself, including like the buttons, turn signals, all that stuff. All goes through this guy right here. And after some Tesla engineers went over the codes and everything that this was throwing, a lot of them were tracing it back to this guy right here. So we're hoping that this solves our issue, but before we install this, we're gonna go ahead and put the doors back on the CyberTruck. We're gonna plug everything back in to make sure there's no important communication that was lost when the doors were unplugged, because they said that could also be part of the issue as well. We're going to rent Tesla Toolbox once again. It's $165 for the day, and we are going to plug into this thing, get it on Service Mode Plus, and try everything that we did in the last video over again. If plugging the doors in alone doesn't change anything, then we will go to changing this guy out right here. And then after that, we will do a software reinstall on the CyberTruck to recognize the new hardware that is installed into the truck. And we will go from there, and hopefully she comes to life for us. And if not, like I said, we might just have to end up bringing it to Tesla. But that's where we're gonna start for today. So let's go ahead and hang these doors on and see if it makes a difference. All right, I got the doors hung back on here. We're just gonna plug those guys back in. There was a nice little access gap right here after the accident, so that's nice and easy. The back one, we probably should have plugged that in before we put this front door back on. That one's plugged in. There we go. Don't think that's gonna change anything, but the doors are on, so now we can at least put it back into Service Mode Plus. Just double check that didn't change anything, and then we can move on to changing that steering column control module. All right, guys, we got the doors back on the CyberTruck. Everything is plugged in. We also got this thing connected back up to the laptop, signed into Toolbox, and we got this thing back into Service Mode Plus, just like the last video. We've already been messing with it a little bit. It looks like nothing has changed. I'm not too surprised. We're in the same spot as we were last time, so we still can calibrate the rear rack. You'll see that it should actually spin those rear tires like it did in the last video. So those guys will move lock to lock, and those calibrate properly. And everything's good to go there. That's all working normal, but when we go back to that front rack calibration and try to run it, we hit run, nothing happens, just like in the last video. So yeah, the front rack still doesn't pass, and then if we go into some of the hand wheel stuff, we can even try to set hand wheel 0, which should be a pretty basic calibration. Just setting this to 0, you just line it up square and centered and it should calibrate, but even this will not pass. So we're running this right now. You just set it to 0 where you want it to be straight. You're just supposed to line it up with that LED bar behind it, and it should at least 0 the wheel. That's a very simple calibration, and it's failing that as well. So we're gonna go ahead and install this guy. Luckily there is a walkthrough guide online on how to do it. We got to take the airbag out, got to remove the steering wheel. This guy sits right behind the wheel. Then we can hopefully get it all back together. Try this again and see if anything changes from there. So I guess let's start tearing this thing apart. All right, so we're gonna start by popping the airbag out here. There's these little holes on the side of the steering wheel. I guess there's a spring clip in there. You just gotta take a flat head and release that guy. All right, see that side popped up. Do the same to the other side. And just like that, the airbag comes out. Yeah, it's just an active airbag, it's no big deal. Just like that. Didn't explode. Airbag's out, so now it looks like we're gonna need to remove that big old Allen in there, and the wheel should come off. You can actually see that plug right there. That's a piece of the module. So that's actually what we just unplugged from the airbag. It's sitting right behind the wheel there. So now we just gotta get the steering wheel. Now we just gotta get the steering wheel off, and then we have to remove some of this trim, and then we can get to that guy. Come on, CyberTruck. Let go. Oh. She's freaking out. She's freaking out. Look at this. I don't know if that's a good thing. I don't know what's going on. I can't put it back on. What do I do? Let me make a phone call real quick. She's spazzing out. Just like that. And then we need a Torx for these guys right here. There we go. All right, we just got a Torx right here on the side as well. It's just clamped on. All right, got it unplugged. There's just a plug on the side and that clamp. It has to be grabbing it. Yep. All right. There it is. Maybe something was wrong with it, maybe not, who knows? But we'll go ahead and install the new one. Put it all back together, power it up, see if anything changes. Stupid airbags, man. Freaking me out.
You missed it. I did the whole boom and it was hilarious.
It did jump scare me a little bit.
I don't need to jump and scare him when it blows up this time.
Yeah, really.
All right, should I just send it?
Just
Send it.
It ain't gonna
Stop
blow
being a
up.
baby.
And if it did blow up,
All right, we're good, we're good.
Anyways.
There we go.
Waiting for him to honk it.
All right, we got the steering wheel all put back together. The lights are lit up, so everything seems to be plugged in and working properly. Before we try to set hand wheel 0 again and recalibrate this, we're gonna go ahead and do a software reinstall since we did install a new device there. So we'll just go right here and we will hit can ECU reinstall.
This is how
We're
you break
gonna-
your Tesla.
Yeah, now we might really
She's
mess it
done.
up. All right, she updated. We're back online. Let's go ahead and try that hand wheel calibration. Here goes nothing. Set hand wheel 0. Gonna have to do the gateway again.
Yes.
Still mad at us. Set hand wheel 0. Run. I don't know. It's still taking longer than I'd like. I don't know if that's gonna do it, boys. Might be something else.
Is this the one where it's supposed to sweep right to left?
No, it's supposed to just reset 0. Damn it, dude. It failed.
Try that sweep one real quick.
It failed. I can try. Yep, not looking good. Failed.
Frick, dude.
Well, that did not solve our issue, boys. It's something else.
Well, that sucks.
Might be time just to bring it to Tesla and see if they can figure it out.
Yeah.
Because I don't want to keep renting Toolbox every day. And I really don't want to rent it for a month. I did see some comments concerned about that ribbon cable. That could be a possibility because we still haven't repaired that guy. We just put some electrical tape on the exposed part.
But we did do a communications test through this and it said it was fine.
Yeah,
so
everything
I don't
was
think it's that.
good to go there. So, man, they were really hoping it had something to do with this guy, but apparently our old one was fine. So, if anyone has a CyberTruck and needs one of these, this one's still good. You can hit me up. Yeah, that freaking sucks. We'll have to figure out a game plan, get this thing moving because she's still freaking stuck here. We don't know what to do. So it's been 3 weeks since we've last worked on the CyberTruck, and I gotta get you guys caught up to where we're at now. As you guys saw, we tried to replace that steering column control module, and that did not do the trick. It did nothing at all. We still have all the same codes. It doesn't move at all anymore. We at least used to have it moving at 4 miles an hour, but after we tried to recalibrate the steering, we lost everything. It doesn't steer, it doesn't even go into neutral anymore, so it's pretty much bricked and sitting right here where it's at. It's been a giant paperweight here in the shop. And I didn't think it was going to take this long to get it up and running or find a solution, but it has. After we tried to replace that steering column control module and it didn't work, I talked to some friends over here at a local Tesla service center. They remoted into the truck, got all the information and codes it was throwing, and from what I was told is they took that information and sent it to, I believe, possibly the Gigafactory in Texas, but they sent it somewhere to Texas where the majority of the CyberTruck engineers are at, and we had some CyberTruck engineers look at everything, and they said that my truck is going to need a new front steering rack. So I got that news, and that kind of sucked because that was a lot more work than we planned on doing to this thing. I really thought we were just going to buy the truck, replace those pyros, throw some new doors on it, and we got a perfectly good CyberTruck. But apparently this steering issue is a lot deeper than we had originally thought. Somehow the front steering rack got damaged in this accident, and that's what they are claiming. You know, it's gonna suck if we do this whole job and it still has some issue, but if we were to bring this thing to a Tesla service center, this is the first thing that they would do, is replace that whole front steering rack. They were saying that when the truck got into the accident, it possibly forced the tires to go one way really fast, and since there's electric motors on the steering rack, because it's all steer by wire, there might have been some back feeding of voltage because the motor was being forced to spin the opposite way of what it was trying to do, and that could have, you know, wigged something out that way. Who knows? But I'm taking their word for it that it does need a new front steering rack. And unfortunately, my CyberTruck is no longer under warranty because of the accident, so this is a completely out-of-pocket repair, which does suck because there's also no way to prove that the accident caused the issue. So if it was still under warranty, for instance, if, you know, it just happened and the accident didn't total the CyberTruck, but I still bought it and they didn't deem it totaled, like, this would be an under warranty sort of deal, but it's not, which sucks. So I have to pay for it out of pocket, and $3,600 spent later, we have this guy right down here. This is the steering rack for a Tesla CyberTruck. Definitely does not look to be $3,600, but, you know, has a Tesla logo on it, and there you have it. It has 2 motors on there, so it's for redundancy. These are what control it. If one motor fails, the other can continue to work. There is no physical connection to the steering wheel. It is just powered by those motors right there. I was originally going to take the CyberTruck to a Tesla service center and just have them do any more work that we needed to be done, because I really didn't want to dig into it any further after trying to replace that little module, because anything with the steering on the CyberTruck sounds very scary and complicated because it's all steer by wire. It's all new technology. It sounds like it's something way out of our realm of expertise, but it sounds like a job that we can do ourselves. After talking to them, they've done a few and they say it's not too bad. I also don't want to pay for the labor to do it at a service center because I'm not under warranty. So I already had to spend $3,600 for the part itself. Who knows how much the labor would have been. I'm sure it's a several-hour job, and labor ain't cheap nowadays. So it looks like today we're gonna further our CyberTruck knowledge and experience, because we are changing out the entire front steering rack on this thing. And I guess it's a bit of a process. Got to pull the front bumper, some coolant lines have to come off. It's no easy task. And if this doesn't fix the CyberTruck, I'm gonna be really sad, because this is definitely gonna be the last thing we're going to tackle ourselves. Yeah, I mean, if this doesn't work, it's probably gonna get a Cummins in it. So yeah, I guess without further ado, we're going to see if we can't replace a front steering rack on the CyberTruck. We'll probably be the first people to attempt to do this. Third party. It was cool that we could at least get one. And yeah, got to find out how to get the CyberTruck on the lift though, because she's currently locked up and doesn't move. So I might have to do our trick, put it back into neutral. Really hoping this does the trick, because we are now in it an extra $3,600. And yeah, it'd be nice if we can get this thing to work. Man, it's almost lunchtime. Sure getting hungry. Don't have too much time though. Hopefully we have something in the fridge that I can just heat up pretty quick. Something to eat. What do we got here? Oh, I forgot, we have factors. Nice. Pop one of these guys in the microwave real quick. Be good to go. Eat stress-free with Factor's delicious, ready-to-eat meals. Every fresh, non-frozen meal is chef-crafted, dietitian-approved, and ready to go in just 2 minutes. With Factor, there's something for everyone with 35 weekly recipes to choose from. They have keto, veggie, vegan, all kinds of stuff. This right here is a creamy Parmesan chicken. Let me show you guys how simple this is. You just take her out of the box, grab yourself a fork to poke a couple vent holes. Go ahead and pop her in the microwave. Set that guy for 2 minutes. And just like that. Oh, it's hot. Really hot. Be careful. And just like that, after a couple minutes, you got yourself a quality, quick and simple meal. Let's get a bite of this chicken. Not only are they easy to do, but they are delicious. These are perfect for guys like us here at the shop. We don't have time to go out to the grocery store. We don't want to deal with dishes before or after. Throw this away when you're done. It couldn't get any easier. Factor also has more than just lunch and dinners. They have breakfast items, snacks, smoothies, juices, all kinds of different items you can choose from. They're also very flexible as well, so if you need to pause or reschedule a delivery, you can do that very easily with Factor as well. If you guys want to get started on Factor, all you got to do is go to factor75.com or click on the link in the description down below. Use code BoostedBoys50 and you'll receive 50% off your first Factor box, and you'll get 20% off your next month of orders. That is factor75.com, code BoostedBoys50 for 50% off your first Factor box, 20% off the next month of orders. Thank you to Factor for sponsoring today's video. So now that the CyberTruck is in neutral, we just got to turn the wheels a little bit to get it up onto the lift because it is pointing to the left a little bit, but there's no physical steering column, so we got to manually do it. So just grab your buddy and give her a kick. That should be good. You need to go back to the left a little.
Yeah. Nice stainless appliance.
Back on the lift she goes. So after we did all that, we did find out that the tow mode is working, so we didn't need to hot wire the electronic calipers like I've done in the past, because now that the main battery contactor is closed, it didn't work before, but if you actually go into service, go to towing, we can actually hit enter transport mode and it is working. And now it does roll on its own, and it's also a lot easier to push. Double check that before you, what's the word, MacGyver it. In worst case scenario, you can do it manually, but we just found out that ours is finally working now in transport mode, which is good enough. All right, got the CyberTruck on the lift. We're gonna go ahead and give my friend a call and see if he can't walk us through what we need to do here, some of the first steps, and we'll get to tearing into this thing. Really not looking forward to it, but we gotta do what we gotta do. So let's give him a call and see where we need to start. Got a notepad here to take notes.
Hello.
Hey, what's up, man?
Hey, how are you?
Good. So we got the CyberTruck on the lift and we're ready to start digging into it. And I was just gonna see what our first steps need to be.
First thing that I would recommend before you power the truck down, go into your service mode, go into the thermal section and see if you have access to coolant drain and fill. You have to pull the radiator out of the truck. So you're gonna pull the bumper off, and then you're gonna be sliding the radiator out of the front of the truck. And that's gonna expose the rack assembly. The rack assembly is really pretty self-explanatory. You're gonna pull the two front wheels off. Towards the driver's side as possible so that you can get the short end of the rack, because if you can envision, you're gonna be standing in front of the truck and the rack is going to come out diagonally.
Yep.
That makes sense.
I got the picture in my head perfectly.
So
it already came out.
Oh, you already got it out?
In my mind it came out, but not in person.
Yeah, it's not hard. These are my concerns. The thermal system on all EVs is not easy to deal with. So number one, it uses the G58 coolant, which is very expensive. It's the blue stuff that like BMWs and stuff use.
How much do you think this job would cost to do just in labor besides the rack itself?
The rack itself is like, our flat rate time on it is only like 3.4 hours.
What is the shop rate an hour?
225, I think.
Okay, so I mean we're still saving like $700
Yeah, you're
doing
saying,
it ourselves.
Yeah, if it works, absolutely.
All right, well, if this doesn't do it, it's coming to you. So
Hey man, I told you one way or the other we're gonna make this thing work. So you better have your guys start welding up some bars for the doors and stuff so you can drive this thing.
sounds good,
Okay.
man. Yep, we'll start tearing into it.
I'll talk to you soon.
See ya. Well, guys, just got off the phone. Looks like we got to pull the front bumper. Got to pop the coolant lines off this radiator here. This guy has to come out as well. And then after we get all that off, we should be able to see the steering rack down there. We want to turn it all the way to the left, get the passenger side tie rod and that end of the rack as short as possible so we can scoot it over and shimmy it out of there, from what I understand. It sounds like the cooling system on these can be a little annoying to get it bled properly. You have to vacuum bleed them to get all the air bubbles out, and you need to get all the air bubbles out or things might not work properly. We'll cross that bridge when we get there. Guess without further ado, we got a freaking steering rack to change, so let's dig into it. So before we get the steering rack pulled out of the CyberTruck here, we need to go ahead and power everything back down. But before we do that, I got the CyberTruck in service mode right now, and we were told that we want to go ahead and go into the thermal section, which is right here. It's pretty cool because you can see the coolant system we got running right here. This is all in real time. You can even see the refrigerant system when the AC is on. All of this diagram is animated and moving as well, which is just really cool. Some high-tech stuff in here. But if we go back to the coolant system, you can see everything going on. We even have the RPM of the motors sitting here currently. You can monitor everything. We've got all green lights, and this is just, you know, keeping everything at the right temperatures as the truck sits in the garage here. But what we want to do before we unplug everything is we want to go right here. It says start thermal fill and drain, and basically what that will do is open up all of the valving just to all the modules that might require coolant. For instance, like the ECU has coolant going to it, there's other modules that have coolant going to it. It will open up all the valves so that when we go to put everything back together, when we go to vacuum bleed it, should be a lot less of a hassle to get everything bled and get all the air out of the system, which is what we want. So what we're gonna go ahead and do is hit start fill drain here. It's gonna ask us to unlock this gateway. So we just gotta hold the brake pedal down, hold the right blinker, and it will unlock the gateway. It's giving us that warning once again because it's pissed that I hit the brake pedal. And now that that's unlocked, we can hit start thermal fill / drain and hit run, and the routine has passed. So now we can go ahead and unplug everything. You can see it's illuminated. Oh yep, see there everything goes. So we are ready to go ahead and unplug the truck, and all of those valves will basically hang open and they will be in the same state for when we go to plug everything back in, just to make it that much easier to bleed the system. And she shut back down. Let's start changing this rack. Unplugged.
Yeah, I was maybe try to plug that. There it goes.
And there it is, guys. The steering rack on the CyberTruck, the front one at least. So we didn't have too much coolant come out. We were expecting a lot more, but we only had maybe half a gallon slowly dribble out of this hose right here. Got all that cleaned up. We went ahead and turned the wheels all the way to the left with the wheels and tires still on the truck, so we had more leverage to turn those by hand. We took them off and we popped both of the ball joints on the tie rod ends there, so those are off. And it looks like only 2 bolts hold this rack on. There's just 2 big bolts on the back side of it that we got to undo real quick. We'll unplug all of these connectors, and it sounds like we also do need to take the sway bar off. I was double checking that with our Tesla buddy. He said that the sway bar comes off, but I'm thinking we might be able to get it without taking the sway bar off. I'm gonna just take this tie rod end right here off, and if we can scoot it over this way enough, that might fit. But if not, we'll just pop the sway bar off and get it all out of there and go from there. But there it is. It really wasn't too bad. It only took us like half an hour to get in here and get to it. So go ahead and pop this guy out get the new one in. Don't think we had to take the sway bar off. Oh, we are good. There she is. What a piece of crap, dude. So before we go back together with the new steering rack on the CyberTruck, I figured I'd show you guys some of the stuff we got going on in the front here while everything is exposed. You can see the front drive unit right here and what appears to be an oil filter on the side of it right there. That's pretty wild. It looks just like a standard automotive style oil filter, but that's definitely for the gearbox fluid that is inside of there. But you got the complete package right here. The gearbox is closer to us where these CV axles are coming out. The motor's on the back side there. You can see the high voltage going in. And my initial thought when looking at it is pretty small overall. It doesn't go that far back. It's not that tall. I would compare it to like the size of maybe a street bike engine, about the overall dimensions that this thing takes up. And my thought is that the back one is about the same size. This is a 600 horsepower-ish dual motor CyberTruck. It's not the tri-motor. So my thought would be the back one is the same size as this and they split that evenly. I could be wrong about that. The back one might be bigger and make more. But if that's true, regardless, this one's definitely making a good chunk of power and torque. And I think it's pretty impressive how tightly they packaged it and just how small these drive units are. I haven't seen one up close in any of my Teslas just yet, but if this was a full-size truck, you know that gas or diesel engine would take up all of this room up here, plus the transmission, and this just takes up almost no space at all. Granted, there are two of them in this specific truck, and then you also have to take into account the big old battery that stores all the energy for these things. But I think it's pretty impressive. As much as I hate to say it, I don't give it too much longer. I mean, it's still gonna be several years out, but I think just the reliability and performance of electric is really going to take over soon. And I will always love my gas burning turbocharged cars. It will never change. I grew up with them, but I think our generation is slowly getting phased out. The kids growing up now, they ain't gonna care as much. I feel like an old school guy, like still messing with carburetors or something, and then the guy before him, who knows what. But it's just how the world goes. I can definitely see it coming. Ever since I was young, I always thought that electric RC cars were like way outperforming gas RC cars, the little nitro ones, because I used to have a ton of them. Once the brushless stuff came out when I was younger, it was so night and day. Like the electric stuff was just crazy, and for how much less work you had to do to them, tuning them up and everything, you just plug in a LiPo battery and go. I always thought when I was young, like once these get to a full-size vehicle, I always imagined an RC car like scaled up. I was like, it would be insane, and we're like getting pretty close to that. I mean, even look at the electric scooters you can rent downtown or whatever. I mean, you ain't gonna see people hopping on GoPeds, driving them around reliably and efficiently. It's slowly coming. Hate to say it, a lot of you guys hate EVs, a lot of you guys love EVs. I think the technology is pretty cool, but I think it's pretty inevitable at some point, you know, EV's gonna take over pretty much everywhere. We still got some time though. I wouldn't be too worried about it. But on that note, let's go ahead and get this new front rack back in this thing, and hopefully it will steer once again. All right guys, CyberTruck is put back together with the new steering rack, and now before we power this thing back on, we need to vacuum down the coolant system so we can put the coolant back in it that we lost. So we are going to use a vacuum bleeder for this because we don't want any air bubbles in the system. So we got her hanging right here. This is our vacuum bleed tool from Astro Tools. We got the cone attachment on there, and we're going to go right to the reservoir. You have to be careful because there is a little hole in there that you won't see on camera. Maybe you can. That little hole right there vents to the outside. So if you don't have a good seal around that inner hole, then you're just going to, you know, let air bleed out of that little hole. So using this little cone here, and we also went ahead and got some more coolant. So this is the Tesla specific blue, more expensive coolant. It's the same stuff they use in BMWs, Mercedes, apparently Mini Coopers and Volvos as well, but you can also see it's for Teslas. The same blue stuff, 50-50, do not add water. We went ahead and threw about half a gallon of that into this bucket right here of all the coolant that we already collected. If we need a little bit more, we can always add it, but we're gonna go ahead and pull a vacuum on the system. That should take a few minutes to fully vacuum down, and once the needle stops moving, we'll go ahead and drop this end into the coolant, and then we will swap our valves, and then the vacuum that's created in the system will actually suck the coolant up and into it and fill up all of the air pockets. So let's go ahead and hook her up and start pulling a vacuum. Hook that up, and we'll open this valve. I had to pause it real quick because it was pulling the vacuum so far into the red that I was making sure that was okay. And after looking at the CyberTruck service manual, that is normal. So it does pull into this 60 to 70 range right here. So not worried about that at all. We'll just let that sit for a minute just to make sure all the air is fully bled and the needle is completely stopped. And then we will open it up and let the coolant back in. All right, needle's not moving anymore. We're gonna go ahead and shut that guy. And then we should be able to unplug the air. And the gauge should not move, which it is not. We can go ahead and start to open this valve, and it will start to suck our coolant into the truck. There it goes, just like that. So now we'll just let that fill until this hits 0. This tool also comes in really handy for like the NSX and MR2 back when it had a radiator. Getting the mid-engine cars to fully bleed the coolant system with a radiator in the front was a pain. So if you guys have an MR2 or, you know, an NSX, because I know some of you guys do watching the videos, I would definitely invest in one of these to make your life a lot easier. All right, should be good. Just gave it a second, but you can see the coolant is filled all the way up here. There's actually a max fill line on the side, and it's right back to where it was when we started. So that's a good sign. We can go ahead and pop the cap back on. The coolant system should be topped back off with hopefully no air bubbles. We do have to do a coolant purge on this. Once we do power everything back up, there's an option in the truck that actually purges the coolant system, kind of cycles everything to further get any air bubbles and stuff out of it. But we'll go ahead and get this stuff out of the way and power it back on. Well guys, hopefully all that work paid off, and the steering rack is the core root of this issue here. But I'm gonna go ahead and plug this thing back in. I was also told by our Tesla friend that we need to make sure that the contactor closes once again, because now that new steering rack's in there, there's a chance the contactor might not close right away just because of the new part that was installed. So that's something we need to keep an eye on as well, because if that contactor doesn't close, it is going to drain this 48-volt battery really quick. We only have like 5 to 10 minutes, and then that guy's going to be done, and then it's the whole, you know, situation that we were in before all over again. So we're going to go ahead and plug it all back in. Hopefully we hear that contactor click so we know the truck's supporting itself, and then we'll purge that coolant system, and then we can get to calibrating it. Here goes nothing. Plug that back in. Battery back on. Let's see if that contactor closes over here.
I didn't hear it.
Might take a second. There it goes. We're good.
I would double check it up once it's screen.
Yep. Yeah, we're gonna double check for sure, but I heard her click. We go here to high voltage system. We're good. Contactors are closed. All green lights. Okay, so now that the contactors are closed, everything's good. We're gonna go ahead and go back to the coolant system right here, and we're going to do a coolant purge start. So we're gonna purge the coolant system, and we're going to run this twice. just to make sure she is good, because these actually have coolant that passes through the car's ECU, and I'm sure everything's fine after we vacuum bled it, but if there's any issues there, that ECU can get hot and you don't want it to go into some sort of thermal protection mode if there's a lack of coolant while everything's on and operating. But we'll go ahead and hit coolant purge start right here. The controller will continue to run coolant air purge until it has completed or has been requested to stop. So we'll go ahead and hit run. Coolant air purge is started. You can hear some noises going on down there. This will take up to 10 minutes to complete. To stop, rerun the routine with stop as the input. Okay, so we'll just let this sit for about 10 minutes and let it purge all the air out of the system. We'll run that twice just to confirm. All right, coolant system is purged. We ran that purge twice. Now we're ready to do the software reinstall. So here in service mode, we go to software reinstall. There are 3 different reinstall types. There's the full reinstall CAN ECU and TCU. For this steering rack specifically, we want the CAN ECU. Anytime that there is a component replaced on these, you have to do the reinstall so it can write the new software to the new component and they can start talking to each other. So we're gonna go ahead and leave it on CAN ECU and hit reinstall. And I don't know if it's just gonna go right into it. Usually it says like, are you sure you want to do this? But I think it's just going right for it. So software reinstall request in progress. Oh, there it goes. So now we'll just wait for 15 to 20 minutes, somewhere in there is what it usually takes to do the software reinstall. And then once that's done, we'll keep going from there. All right, boys, moment of truth. We got her plugged back in here. Time back into Tesla Toolbox. What would that be? Friggin' $330 later, I believe, 165 day. Had to do it twice now. But we're back in service mode plus. Some possibly good news is that there's a lot less alerts on the suspension icon right there. From what I remember, I think it had like almost 30 before, and now it's down to 7, which is good. When we go to the steer by wire, you know, we got a lot of green lights going on, but I was told the green lights really don't matter until you actually attempt to put the vehicle into park. Then that's when the codes may show up. So I was told not to attempt to drive it yet. We want to first go and do the set hand wheel 0 first, and then we're gonna see if the rack will calibrate after that. But this one failed last time on us, so we're hoping it passes now. And I guess here goes nothing. We'll hit set hand wheel 0 here, and we'll hit run. He said go for it, and then hopefully this one works, and then we can do the rack after. So let's see what happens. It failed. It failed. CyberTrucks are junk, boys. We'll figure it out. All right, well that one didn't work. He said to go ahead and try the rack and see what happens there. So go to steer by wire, go to the front rack up here. Front rack calibration. Yes, let's hit run, see what happens. Oh, they're moving. They're moving. They're moving.
Nice.
Let's go.
Okay. The other test failed.
So the front tires work now, but the steering wheel didn't want to turn. That's working. So something definitely had to be off with that rack, because it didn't do that before. It passed. Round of applause, boys. It passed.
Nice. You're gonna laugh if it comes up failed.
It passed. Okay. Let me let him know that passed real quick. Wow. And then we'll continue afterwards.
Your tires turn, but your wheel doesn't.
Wait, should I go back?
Sick.
I'm gonna double check, because maybe now that has some calibration in it, maybe now the hand wheel has something to go off of.
Just send it, brother.
Send it. Try it out.
Send it. What are you gonna do? Break it?
All right.
It's already broke.
We did that last time and broke it.
Well, technically he told us to.
I'm gonna ask him.
Send it.
I'm asking him.
Send it.
Fine. Oh, so it didn't move it, but it did say that it passed.
You're welcome. Do the other one.
All you did was save me 10 seconds, but okay.
I am a certified EV repair guy. Okay.
Hey, now we're only down to 2 codes.
Damn.
Okay. Well, let me just double check. I mean, we might be good to put it into drive now.
Do it.
Maybe.
Do
Maybe.
it. Do it.
Peer
do it.
pressure is how bad things happen, boys.
All right, let's go.
Yeah, buddy.
No
I didn't get the big red error.
Yep.
Ooh. Ooh.
Oh,
It goes into drive again.
For it. Turn the wheels, they turn. Nice.
and the back's turning too.
Gonna go ahead and shut the frunk. We're leaving it in service mode, but we're gonna try to put it into drive and move it and make sure that it's not in that limp mode anymore and that critical steering issue is gone. And then I think we should be good. She's steering. Man, that's such a good feeling knowing that it steers again. This thing has been sitting for almost a month. And it's gonna finally move under its own power, hopefully right now. Once again. Okay, she's in reverse. There's no critical steering message on the screen anymore. We're good. Hell yeah, boys! I hit 9 miles an hour.
9 miles an hour. That's a new record.
Good. What's that?
That's a new record.
Yeah, 9 miles an hour. It's not in limp mode. Everything's good. It's only limited right now because it still is in service mode. But CyberTruck's back, boys. Is that rear steering working?
Oh yeah.
That's pretty sick.
See how tight of a circle it'll do.
Rank. That's a pretty tight circle.
Yeah.
I took the speed limiter off.
In service mode?
Yeah.
Oh, let's go.
The center console valve flipped over.
Oh no.
Dude, she's good.
Yeah, it rips.
Did that door about come off?
I don't think so.
I tried to turn it and she swung out a little bit.
Oh. Yeah, I guess it's not really oh yeah, it's not really attached.
Yeah, it's just the ratchet strap holding it on right now. We're getting certified pistol mechanics over here. If you guys need any CyberTruck repair, you know where to go. I'm just kidding. Don't ever bring one of these to me ever again. Oh, shoot. Got the doors pulled off, passenger seats back in. We can't not end this video out without taking her for a quick trip down the road. Don't have any seatbelts in it right now, so not doing anything too stupid, but
Jeep life.
that thing's peppy for the dual motor. Oh, look at the guy in the minibike. A typical day in Florida. CyberTruck driving around with no doors, mini bikes going by. Dude, it is peppy. It is. Now look at the wheel right now. A little crooked. Put that turning radius to the test real quick. Solid.
That's pretty good for how big this truck is.
Yeah, it turns on a dime.
You gonna do a launch?
I don't know if this even has like launch settings. I think that's only the Cyber Beast where we can do that.
You gotta do a foot brake launch at least.
Yeah. Oh yeah, we could. Pretty quick 0 to 60 even for the dual motor. Yes, dude. She's working. I was about to give up on this thing, boys. Thought it was shaped like a dumpster for a reason because it belonged in one, but hey, we got it working. We got it working. Well guys, that's gonna do it for now. We freaking got this thing running and driving once again, so I'm super pumped about that. It's no longer gonna take up space in the shop here. We can at least easily back it in and out. I honestly don't know what we're gonna do with it just yet. I do wanna obviously fix it in the future. So many people are asking me, what are you guys gonna do with the CyberTruck? Are you gonna put a Cummins in it? I really have no future plans for the CyberTruck, but I can tell you guys right now, I do want it to at least get the interior put back in it, you know, see what it's gonna take to fix up these seats where the airbags have blown, and see how much it would cost to get this CyberTruck that was once totaled back up into fully operational, because I'm trying to add up how much we have invested here and to see if it was worth the purchase. Let me know what you guys would like to see with this thing in the future. We overcame a massive hurdle in today's video. I'm just happy that it's finally moving under its own power once again. That's gonna do it for this video. Thank you guys for watching.